What up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice & Dragons, we are going to be reviewing Transformers, the deck-building game Infiltration Protocol, published by Renegade Game Studios and designed by Dan Blanchett. Now I'm going to toss it over to Julie, who will tell you more about the game itself.
So this is a cooperative or competitive, right?
Yep. Or even a one versus many game with the new mode that's included in the box.
It is for ages 14 and above, 1 to 5 players, and plays in 45 to 90 minutes.
And we would like to say thank you to Renegade Game Studios for their support of the channel and sending us this review copy. And we'd like to remind you that, of course, our opinions will remain our own. So since I stole that line from Julie, you want to take it away and tell people what they'll be doing in the game? Give them the basics and I'll flesh it out.
Basically, you're moving around the board, flipping over cards, buying cards. It's a deck builder, right?
Yes.
And with the idea that you're going to go through the Infiltration Protocol and you're going to defeat the bosses in order to win the game.
Exactly. So the Infiltration Protocol is a new mode, and that's the way we decided to play it for the purposes of the review. You can play this in the standard mode, where you need to defeat 3 bosses in order to win the game. The game can also be played team versus team, one versus many, Autobots versus Decepticons, or cooperatively as we're playing it. We played it as Autobots a couple times. Now we're trying our hand at the Decepticons. And just in case you're wondering, we are going to be reviewing the Dinobots expansion very shortly after this one. And those are the 2 decks that we mashed together for setting up our matrix. So there you have it. I've given you the disclaimer. I think we've talked enough about the game. What do we need to do now, Julie?
We need to grab our drinks.
Grab our best friend, and in this case, fellow Decepticon.
And we're going to take it to the table
one more time. Now we're going to take a look at the components for Transformers, the deck building game Infiltration Protocol. So we have the new rule book here. Unfortunately, it's folded. It really bugs me, but what can you expect with the box? So here you've got the new rules, customizing your game, the new Infiltration Phase Variant that you can be getting with the game. We'll take a look at some of those cards. Also, if you did not have the rules for team versus team mode because you did not pick up a Rising Darkness, you have the rules for those as well. Then you've got some details with the new cards and some specific card clarifications related to the new modes, because there's also a one versus many mode. And then just some card inclusion reference charts. What we will start with actually is some of the cards that actually came in the bonus box. So you get the Garrus 9 Prison Break. You do get the Overload card with it. And there's a card that actually has since run away on me. Here he is, the Garrus 9 Prison Break Scheme Boss Special. So that is the other card. I picked up too many cards here. So you also do get Ultra Magnus and Skywarp. Ultra Magnus' ability is each time you activate an Energon ability on a card you control that has +1 power, you may put 1 robot in your space into your vault. This is not defeating it. You may destroy 1 robot in your vault to gain power equal to its printed cost. That's pretty cool, especially in cooperative games. And then Skywarp. The first time you play a starter card during your turn, you may flip an adjacent card face up, destroy 1 card in your hand, then you may convert. Target player discards their hand and draws an equal amount -1. Let's look at their vehicle modes. The first time you convert to bot mode on this turn, you may draw a card. Skywarp, it's got flight. When you would convert, you may teleport to any space in the matrix instead. If you cannot convert for any reason, then you cannot use this ability. So some pretty cool stuff. We will move them off to the side because they don't come in the core box, but we'll take a look quickly at their standees. So there's Ultra Magnus, and here is Skywarp. Now you are able to pick these up directly on Renegade Games' website, and you may find them in some game stores. Other than that, the characters we get are Springer, who is a triple changer. Each Autobot you play during your turn has +1 move. Autobots in your hand have +1 block. And you may choose one of Springer's 2 alt modes and place it face up. So his alt mode, you can be flying. The next card you play this turn has +1 range as a helicopter. His other alt mode, which is the other side, discard 1 card to convert. When battling adversaries, you've got -1 power. Next, we've got Cup. Start of your turn, you may discard 1 card and then draw a card. Destroy 1 card in your discard pile for 1 Energon. Target card has +2 power. Pretty cool. And then other Autobot characters in your space. Avoid ambushes. When you gain 1+ damage from an ambush, you draw a card, and then -1 power in fighting adversaries. Here's Perceptor. Cards you own with no printed range of +2 range. You may peek at any card in the matrix, then you may flip it face up. Non-basic cards you control with printed range of 1+ have another power. And then his alternate mode. Each time you move onto a space, you may peek at the card in that space and either flip it face up or leave it. If you're ambushed, you may convert after it resolves. -2 power, but notice no movement, so keep that in mind. We will place the Autobots down as we go through the Decepticons. So bludgeon. The first maneuver you play this turn has +2 power. Target characters in your space resolve an ambush, and then gain 1 maneuver in your space. You may convert. If you do, you may teleport to an adjacent space. Pretty cool. Onslaught. The first time you play a card with 5+ cost this turn, draw 1 card, and each Combaticon you play has +2 power. You can peek an adjacent card in the Matrix. If it's an Autobot robot, reveal it and defeat it. Wow. Flip a card in your space face down, then flip an adjacent card face up. Can be pretty powerful to get rid of bosses you don't want to face. When you convert, reveal the top card of your deck, discard it, or leave it. Next, we've got 6 Shot. When you draw an adversary during your turn, gain 1 Energon. Destroy 1 starter card you control, then you may gain 1 basic card. But that is expensive. Gain 1 Decepticon robot from the Matrix or the destroyed pile. Now you may flip to one of his alt modes. He can fly. Discard 1 non-damage card, teleport to any non-adversary space in the Matrix. You're going to have to flip over to see them all. The next Decepticon you play has +2 power as like the gun mode. Flight, but when he's in his like beast mode. Cards you control have +1 range. And then the other one, here's his car mode. The first time you're ambushed during your turn, avoid it. So lots of cool abilities for 6 Shot. And we've then seen the other Decepticons. We'll take a quick look at the standees, just so you see what we got. I must say, all of these characters seem to have much cooler and interesting abilities than the characters so far in the both of the base games. So we'll take a look at the new Infiltration Protocol cards. So these are different schemes for the phases that you'll have to be using. So Siege Mode, Full Invasion. I really don't know how to use these. Haven't gone through the rulebook to look over this new mode. Here we then have Decepticon phase bosses, 6 Shot, Black Shadow, Bolt, and not exactly sure what these cards are. You notice they've got a purple back and then this back, but they are definitely for one of the new modes. It could also be something related to the 1 versus many mode, not just the infiltration phase. So here you got the new Autobots, Steeljaw, Cloudburst, Rack and Run, Top Spin, Springer, Carnivac for the Decepticon Swindle, Blast Off, Octopunch, and Bludgeon. We have new Autobot and Decepticon bosses with Roadbuster, Broadside, Impactor. We get Brawl, Thundercracker, and Thunderwing. We've got some boss site specials with like the Siege Armature here and Metroplex. Not quite sure how these work, but I'm sure we'll find out. Then some just new sites that you'll be visiting. We have new maneuvers and technology. So Orbital Bounce, Kill Shot, Pretender Shell, High Voltage Electric Cannon. Some new schemes, both Decepticon, Autobot, cooperative scheme, and then some schemes for the infiltration mode. And you can see each of these correspond to one of the other cards that we saw in terms of the phases. And then the last pile, but not the least, we have some new relics, allies, and then a new type of damage called T-Cog Jam. On your turn, you play before any other card. You cannot convert when you play this damage. So there you have it. These are all of the components for Transformers the Deck Building Game Infiltration Protocol. Now keep it right here as Julie and I will be coming back at you with our review of this expansion. So, Julie, what did you think of Transformers, the deck building game Infiltration Protocol? I think the original game was a pleasant surprise. We've got Transformers back to the table. We've got some new game modes. Now, I just want to preface this. We have not tried the 1 versus many game mode. We primarily play 2 players. If we do get a chance in the future, you'll see a video dedicated specifically to that game mode, as it has been added in this expansion originally, as well as in the Dinobots expansion. Also, we did mash those 2 together, so we are primarily playing with cards from those 2 decks.
Well, I mean, especially with this last game, the infiltration mode was pretty annoying. There are times that, like the 4 cards, that boss that just kept...
Well, that wasn't specifically related to the infiltration mode. That is one of the new bosses in the game.
Okay, well, that boss... Yeah, pretty bad. And I don't know, I felt like this was harder with the Decepticons than it was with the Autobots.
I definitely would have to say, so far with regards to the bosses, and I'm not 100% sure if the boss was from the Dinobots or the Infiltration Protocol expansion, considering it wasn't a Dinobot. I believe it was one of the ones from Infiltration Protocol. He really slowed us down, and I think that was one of the biggest factors in the game, drawing only 4 cards. Now, we were never really in danger of losing the game because we were playing the game cooperatively, but it was definitely annoying. And there was a couple points there where we did have a rather large stack of damage. And it did feel like the Decepticons, us playing as Decepticons, had a little bit of a harder time. That being said, I really like Six Shot. All of his different modes and abilities that he had were just pretty cool and really let me move around the board, specifically to respond to the different infiltration decks. Now, I'm drawing a blank on the names for the decks. They have 2 separate names, but they're essentially the same thing, and they fulfill the same role. And one of them, you really had to reveal all the cards in the Matrix, and he was great at doing that.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why, for some reason, I didn't get to use Skywarp's ability, because I had to use my movement. So I only converted after we had done a lot of the revealing, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I can reveal, but I just never really felt like I had enough movement. I needed to use my movement that came from the alt mode.
And what did you think of having the objectives, though, changing up the gameplay so it's not just revealing the bosses, fighting the bosses, having different challenges and things that you have to complete?
Well, it added a different level of complexity, and I think when you're playing cooperative mode, it's a nice addition to be able to have that, to have that extra level of difficulty, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, and you can add it into the competitive mode, so you can each have your own infiltration deck and your own things that you need to accomplish. That being said, I mean, if you're trying to reveal all the cards in the Matrix and the other team doesn't want you to, they could really be messing with you in terms of trying to push the game towards, end game that way. But when you're playing the game for victory points, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You might not even go through the infiltration deck in a competitive game mode.
I mean, and some of the Decepticons, the allies. I mean, the double dealer, where I was able to defeat non-adversaries or buy adversary robots, turned out to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, she acquired a bunch of Dinobots since we've got the Dinobots, and she was wrecking shop with them. We were able to take out Impactor. We were able to defeat the full Infiltration Protocol. So we had a lot of fun with this expansion. What I would have to say, though, is I don't think there's necessarily a ton of depth to the expansion unless you're going to be playing all of the different game modes. But I do think you're getting a lot of value in terms of what you're actually getting. I like the ability to play the infiltration mode. I like the fact that I can just take the cards, mix them in with the game, and I like the fact that we've got a whole new, different competitive game mode, even if it's one that we haven't experienced. I really did enjoy the new characters. I played as Ultra Magnus for the Autobots, and he's a beast. He's a powerhouse. I believe he's in the promo pack for this expansion. So if you didn't pick that promo pack up, you should definitely check it out. You might have to get it directly from Renegade Games, and we'll put a link down below in the video description for you so you can find it rather easily.
I mean, I don't have much more to add. It's not the biggest expansion, but it was fun.
No, I'd say that this definitely feels like more of the same with a couple of nice additions, but it's not really going to lead to a whole ton of commentary, big difference on the game. It's like we've got a new encounter deck using the same encounter deck. You're primarily using the same starter cards. We did get a couple new damage types actually, so as we match those together, those were very interesting because they don't necessarily count towards the amount of damage you're going to have in front of you to lose the game, but they really started clogging up your deck and slowing you down. Something that you didn't have in the first, in just the core box, which I thought was rather annoying. Well, I believe you actually had a couple in the Decepticons box, but definitely not in the original Autobots box. Now, is this the type of expansion that someone needs to get, Julie, or?
I don't think so. I think this is a nice to have. It's a nice addition if you really enjoyed the first game to add a little bit of variety, but I don't think it's a must-have, personally.
No, and I'm going to agree with Julie. I don't think this is a must-have expansion. We're going to be checking out the Dinobots ones very soon. I was going to say, I don't know if we're ever going to really find a must-have expansion for this game because I feel like everything's been nicely rounded out. Some of the additions that they can do, like 1 versus many in infiltration mode, pretty cool, and then just expand your options for gameplay. And I will say this, the infiltration mode does make the game drag a little bit longer, so keep that in mind. You'll definitely be getting faster games when you're playing just the core box, but when you got some more time and you want a better challenge, pick it up. So I think we're going to see expansions, going back to my point, that just kind of flesh out and round out the experience and give you different ways to play rather than having that expansion that comes out and says, hey, this is now the definitive way to play Transformers, the deck building game. That's not a bad thing. Sometimes you like having a solid, great core game, like Marvel Legendary, which Julie likes to play, and you don't always want to throw in all the expansions in to complicate the game. So no, I really don't have much more to add. I really enjoyed playing this, and I think it was a solid expansion.
Ready to give it a rating?
I'm ready to give it a rating. So I'm going to give this a 7. I think this expansion is good. I like everything that we're getting in this box. I like the characters. I like Six Shot, Ultra Magnus. We've got Cup. Can play as Cup. There's Perceptor. So if you are a Transformers fan and you know the IP, you're getting everything that you want and more in this box. Plus the new game modes, I think, are something that if you play this game regularly at a game night are really going to extend the longevity of getting this to the table.
I'm going to give it a 7 as well. I enjoyed the infiltration mode and some of the new characters and allies, and not really going to repeat everything you said. Yeah,
I really liked how we worked together a lot more, and we really like to cooperate to ensure that we accomplish the objectives, which is something that was a big difference compared to the base game. And on that note, we're going to remind you to
like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified when we have new content for you.
And take a look down below in the video description. You'll find links to all of our social media feeds: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see some pictures of Julie and I playing Transformers the Deck Building Game, Transformers the Deck Building Game, Infiltration Protocol, and eventually the Dinobots, well, those two are actually matched together since we put them together to play it. Check out those feeds. And then popping up in front of us are going to be links to some of our previously released videos. In front of me is going to take you back to our most recent release. In front of Julie, will take you back to our review of Transformers, the Deck Building Game. And on that note, we're now going to
grab our drink,
grab our friend and fellow Autobot or Decepticon. It depends on who we're playing as. And remind you to keep playing games.